I think they don't deserve to lose the game. During the game, you couldn't see who was the championship champion and the premiership champion. Were exactly the same.
Many expected their nearest rivals to come from across the capital at Highbury. Plans were well advanced for Arsenal's move to their new. To mark their final season at Highbury, the Gunners returned to the original colours they wore when they first moved to North London. But as they plan to wave goodbye to the Marble Halls, they face the reality of doing the same to their captain, Patrick Vieira, who moved to Juventus. In the fight for the Premier League trophy, his departure would be telling. Just a week into the season, the top two teams in the country met at Stamford Bridge.
He scored!
The result set the tone for the season. Arsenal's focus would switch to the Champions League as the campaign progressed. Chelsea's main rival for the title would come from the north.
Manchester United finished 18 points off the pace last time out, so the summer takeover of the club by the Glazer family had been an unwelcome and unwanted distraction. United, they certainly were not. American tycoon Malcolm Glazer had paid nearly £800 million for the crown jewels of English football, and the United fans made their feelings known over the summer as distasteful scenes surrounded Old Trafford. Would arguably the biggest club in the world struggle under the constraints of foreign ownership? Funds had been made available to bolster the squad, with Dutch international keeper Edwin van der Sar joining from Fulham, as well as South Korean midfielder Ji-sung Park from PSV Eindhoven. Phil Neville left Old Trafford for Goodison Park. He didn't have to wait long to be reunited with his brother, though it was another familiar face who wrote the headlines.
Scores his first goal back at Goodison since leaving Everton.
That defeat was the precursor to a torrid start to the season for the Toffees. The surprise package of the last campaign, they were unceremoniously dumped out of the Champions League by Villarreal before suffering a similar fate in the UEFA Cup at the hands of Dinamo Bucharest. Domestic form was equally woeful for David Moyes' side, who ended the month with a mere 3 points and a solitary goal to their name. A season that had begun so brightly was rapidly falling apart as one of the brightest managerial prospects in the country suddenly found himself under pressure.
Did the extraordinary events of a balmy night in Istanbul mean that Liverpool were now genuine title contenders? 3-0 down at half-time, the Reds pulled off the most remarkable comeback in Champions League history.
It was the perfect game, no? Because people say that it's the most exciting game in all the history. Maybe it's true. The most special thing was the supporters during the game, before the game and after the game.
Despite this monumental achievement, the Liverpool fans' celebrations would be short-lived without this since they won the league. Far too long for a club of their stature. The ability to win the title rested heavily on the shoulders of Steven Gerrard, but with the transfer window about to close, it looked as if the England midfielder would be leaving for Chelsea. Then, in another dramatic turnaround, Gerrard announced he'd stay.
I just didn't want to let go of what I've worked so hard for. I've been at this club since I was 8 years of age. I just feel as if the club deserve the next 5, 10 years of my career, and I don't want to give them years to any other football club. I want to give them to Liverpool.
It hadn't been such a harmonious start to the season elsewhere. At White Hart Lane, the acrimonious departure of sporting director Frank Arneson to Chelsea left Martin Jol as the sole survivor of the managerial trio who'd taken charge a year earlier. Not that the Dutchman was feeling lonely.
I am the man, you know. Why shouldn't I be the man? I'm working with the lads. I'm responsible for them. Frank was never interfering with me. He was working with the academy. He was working for me. He was supporting me. And I think that is the role of a sporting director.
Jol soon made his mark with an array of young faces joining the club and considerably lowering the average age of the squad. But it was an old hand who signalled Tottenham's intentions. Edgar Davids signed from Inter Milan. He arrived with a reputation for being difficult to manage, but settled in and propelled Spurs to their best ever start in a Premier League season.
Defoe. Still it's Defoe! What a terrific goal!
Like Spurs, Manchester City have promoted their manager from within following the departure of Kevin Keegan. And Stuart Pearce was rapidly building as fearsome a reputation as a manager as he had as a player. City, under Pearce's guidance, narrowly missed out on Europe last time round. Under his enthusiastic leadership, they were viewed as one of the Premier League's dark horses. A new look strike partnership of Andrew Cole and Darius Vassell paid immediate dividends. City went unbeaten in August, taking 10 points from 12.
So this is how the table stood at the end of the month. A 100% record for the champions, Manchester City and Charlton, both off to a flyer. Early days at the bottom, but alarm bells were already sounding in the northeast, with Sunderland and Newcastle slow off the blocks.
Morten Gamst Pedersen's stunning finish rounded off a great Blackburn move to win Goal of the Month. Darren Bent took the Barclays Premier League Player of the Month, and City's excellent start made Stuart Pearce the top boss.
With 3 wins, Alan Kirbishley's Charlton Athletic started September in 3rd place. Theirs was a significantly strengthened squad, with Alexei Smertin, Jonathan Spector and Darren Ambrose all arriving to join Darren Bent, who was simply flying. And where Bent led, an inspired Danny Murphy followed to leave Alan Kirbishley in an optimistic mood.
I think that we've got the depth that I've been craving for the last 2 or 3 seasons, and if we can get to the challenging position we've been in previous years, you know, round about March in the top 6 or 7, we've always fallen away, and you know, I'm hoping that the size of the squad will have an effect on that this year.
The North East have begun the season with high expectations. Sunderland joined Middlesbrough and Newcastle in the Premier League for the first time in 2 seasons. Graham Souness began his first full year in charge with a trimmed squad. Out went troublesome Craig Bellamy and Laurent Robert, as well as Aaron Hughes, Andy O'Brien and Darren Ambrose. But he was given money to strengthen. Emre arrived from Inter Milan, while Souness put an end to Scott Parker's dismal spell at Stamford Bridge. If the Newcastle fans have been slow to accept their new manager, their views were changed by the arrival of Michael Owen from Real Madrid. It looked odds-on the England striker would return to Anfield, but the persuasive powers of Souness and the chance to team up with Alan Shearer in his last season proved too great a temptation.
This is a new chapter now, and I'm really looking forward to it. I've been outside, looked around and seen the reception that I've got, and I just wish there was a game tomorrow now.
It wasn't long before the goals started to flow.
Michael Owen finds the net in the black and white for the first time. Put Owen through. Michael Owen. It's his first goal here for Newcastle.
Neighbour Sunderland had ended their 2-year exile from the top flight, promoted after title success in the Championship. But from the outset, with little investment in the team and an inexperienced squad, it was always going to be a battle for Mick McCarthy. By the time they faced Middlesbrough at the end of September, they'd picked up just 1 point from a possible 18.
Suddenly there's an opening at the other end, and there's a goal! Inside 1.5 minutes, would you believe it? Martha lifts it over the wall and in! What a goal by Julio Arca! An hour gone at the Riverside, and Sunderland find themselves for the first time this season with breathing space. A
years. Feels like I've waited years. No, I haven't. I've waited. Is it 7 games we've had now? That's what I've waited, and it's very, very pleasing. It's a nice feeling.
Joining Sunderland in the top flight were West Ham. Since taking charge in October 2003, Alan Pardew had struggled to win over the passionate Upton Park fans. 11 points from the first 6 games helped that. For striker Marlon Harewood, September also proved to be a turning point. Against Aston Villa, he got his first goal since promotion. The striker, who'd scored 17 times in the Championship, giving a clear message to those who doubted his ability to succeed at the highest level.
My goodness, it's all going right for West Ham United, and it's going magnificently for Marlon Harewood. Reaches, doesn't get there. There it is for Marlon Harewood. 3 for West Ham, 3 for him.
Harewood claimed the first hat-trick of the season.
To the opposite end of the country, where Blackburn Rovers had made an indifferent start to the season. 1 win and 3 defeats in the first 6 games was nothing to write home about. A return to Old Trafford proved inspirational for Mark Hughes and added to United's difficulties, even if the manager was trying to send out positive vibes.
This season, and the visiting Villa fans are in raptures.
With West Ham making an unexpectedly bright start to the campaign and Sunderland struggling, October saw all eyes turn to the 3rd promoted side, Wigan Athletic. A place more traditionally linked with former Super League champions, the Warriors, Wigan now found itself gripped by football fever. Despite having money to spend, attracting quality players to the JJB proved difficult, and a quick return to the Championship was expected for Paul Jewell's side. How wrong the experts were. With 7 wins to the start of October, Wigan were in European form.
You ask anyone in the street of Wigan or the country, never mind Wigan, if Wigan finish 4th bottom before a ball's kicked, they'll say, that's a magnificent achievement, but I don't think they'll do it. Now we're sitting in 2nd and people are getting delusions of grandeur. You've got to keep your feet on the floor. Give us survival and we'll try and kick on the year after, but we've got an awful lot to do to make sure we're safe.
After 3 seasons in the Barclays English Premier League, Birmingham City looked to have shaped a squad that could progress from last term's 12th place. But October saw them already embroiled in a relegation battle they would fight for the rest of the season. 6 points from 33, Steve Bruce was under pressure. An injury crisis had denied him the use of key players. Izzet, Dunn, Upson, Heskey, Cunningham, all linchpins and all unavailable. Yet Bruce remained upbeat despite needing the chairman's vote of confidence.
I've got a good relationship with my board. I think that's been on record. But I'm not going to take that for granted. You know, I mean, I put myself under pressure because I don't like being where I am in the league. You've got to try and get through it. Over the last 2, 3, 4 years, it's gone one way for us. You know, we've done okay. It's our turn at the moment to be under pressure and fight the way through it. And it's not enjoyable, but it makes you a better manager, that's for sure.
Factor following West Brom's remarkable escape the previous season was still evident. The Baggies have become the first team to avoid the drop after being bottom at Christmas. Despite a stronger squad, reality was biting and another relegation battle looming. One of their few highs came against Arsenal.
And it's been forced in by Philip Senderos. Senderos only to Kanu! And West Brom are level. Kamara. Darren Carter! Oh, wow! Goal-smacking goal from Darren Carter, beating Arsenal against all odds.
Also singing the blues down at the bottom with Birmingham and West Brom were Everton. David Moyes endured a humiliating start to the season, leaking goals and, more importantly, scoring only once in their first 8 games. In complete contrast, Chelsea had maximum points from 9 games, with 23 goals scored and just 3 conceded. Would a heavy defeat for David Moyes bring the first managerial casualty of the season?
And the referee has given a penalty kick. 1-0 Everton. The referee, Mark Blackburn, got in the way, but it fell for Lampard! Oh, and he's finished it! Chelsea's 100% record has gone.
Really pleased with the performance of the players. We had to work hard against a great Chelsea team. I think probably the best team in Europe at this present time. And we had some 1 or 2 scary moments, but we tried to cause them some as well.
Everton's tougher, more determined style meant they'd rediscovered the winning formula of last season. The Chelsea game proved to be their watershed. 4 wins in their next 5 games gave them fresh confidence.
The champions had finally dropped points, but were still 9 clear of Wigan. Manchester United and Arsenal had plenty of ground to make up. Everton showing signs of a revival, but not yet clear of the bottom 3. Liverpool continued to tread water, but had games in hand.
Matt Taylor's thunderous strike against Sunderland claimed goal of the month. Frank Lampard couldn't stop scoring. He was player of the month, and Paul Jewell collected his 2nd consecutive award.
On the 29th of October, Manchester United travelled to the Riverside Stadium to face an out-of-sorts Middlesbrough. What unfolded over the next 90 minutes conspired to change United's season and spelt the end of an era.
What a fantastic goal for Gaitska Mendieta! And Ferdinand's beaten, and Van der Sar is beaten, and Middlesbrough are 2 to the good. Yakubu to take the game out of the reach of United. Middlesbrough 4, Manchester United 0, and Sir Alex Ferguson is feeling this.
It finished 4-1, prompting United captain Roy Keane to lambast his fellow professionals in a now banned TV interview. Cristiano Ronaldo, Rio Ferdinand and Darren Fletcher came to an injury against Liverpool. He considered the performances in his absence to be unacceptable as United slipped 13 points behind leaders Chelsea. The champions, still unbeaten in the league, were the next to visit Old Trafford. Keane cut an uneasy figure in the stands.
Interesting ball. Rooney took it brilliantly. Now Scholes. Ronaldo. Clever. And a good ball in. Fletcher on the far post. It's in! Manchester United get the breakthrough. Half an hour gone. Fletcher's first goal of the moment to score it. What an important goal. Chelsea have been beaten for the first time in over a year in the Premier League. The champions have had their colours lowered, and it's happened again in Manchester.
Keane's comments may well have had the desired effect, but he was an increasingly isolated figure at Old Trafford, perhaps even but it's still a culmination of his contract. After a period of contemplation, he moved to Glasgow Celtic. Keane will be remembered as one of the all-time greats, and United's fortunes will be forever linked to his 13-year tenure at the club.
Portsmouth's 3-0 defeat at Anfield in mid-November proved to be the last game in charge for manager Alain Perrin. The Frenchman took the Fratton Park job in April 2005, but his record of only 4 wins in 20 games was the worst in the club's history. Chairman Milan Mandaric has now seen 7 bosses leave in as many years. Assistant Joe Jordan once again took over as caretaker manager, charged with lifting a beleaguered squad.
A more familiar look to the table come the end of November, with the Big Four moving into position. Wigan were still flying the flag for the underdog. Managerless Pompey were in the bottom 3 and still looking for a home win. Charlton's form had deserted them. After a bright start, they'd slipped into the bottom half.
Collins John's wonder strike at the Riverside won goal of the month, while Robin van Persie stepped out of Thierry Henry's shadow, and 4 wins out of 4 saw Liverpool's Rafa Benitez rewarded.
I'm pleased to tell you, to all our supporters, and I know they will be very happy with this announcement, Harry is our manager as of tonight.
It was a scene few could have imagined just a week or so earlier. Milan Mandaric introducing Harry Redknapp as Portsmouth's new manager.
Pompey would always be special with me. I mean, as I said, that 2.5 years here, it were fantastic for me.
Redknapp had left Pompey a year earlier after falling out with his chairman. He quickly took up a new job with the arch-enemy Southampton. The relationship between Redknapp and Mandaric seemed beyond repair, but apparently not.
We've got to get this place jumping.